We are beginning to see the beginning of the end of Star Wars in real time. So, what Disney tried to do with this brand is that we're just like, okay, we're going to milk money off of it by producing as many shows as possible. And Star Wars fans will show up for anything. And they completely misunderstood the brand because they didn't understand that, like, the appeal of Star Wars was having, like, high quality fantasy stories that you could come back to time and time again and get more out of as an adult than you did as a child, right? You know, as an adult, as a child watching like the Phantom Menace, you grow up like starting to understand what they were trying to do with like the Trade Federation blockage and the political drama and like how Palpatine operates. You know, like you get more like of an understanding of the nuance of it, right? You understand like how clever the overarching story is, even if the films themselves are bad, okay? Like, Star Wars understood that it was like a premium brand. It understood that by like taking its time and waiting for technology to develop, to tell new interesting stories, like not simply like pushing out products for the sake of pushing out products, but like actually having like time and thought put into them with like the species and stuff like that. Like, Disney doesn't seem to understand this. Like, Disney doesn't seem to understand, like, how to take the time to plan things out and, like, develop things forward. Like, you know, if it were up to me, you know, what I would have done going into this is that, like, okay, what would have realistically happened after the Emperor was killed at the end of Return of the Jedi? Okay, you know, the Empire still exists. You know, it would not just be taken out because, like, the Emperor was taken out. Like, you know, what we would see would, like, the rebels would have, like, you know, successfully segregated into their own controlled space, and they would form their own government, their own new republic, and, like, the remnants of the Empire and the new republic would still be continuing to fight, like, after that. Like, realistically, that's what should have happened, you know, after the downfall of the Emperor, right? Is that, like, the fighting would continue, but it would be in a new way. The stakes would be different. Like, it would be it would be a different situation than what we'd seen previously. Disney doesn't seem to understand that. Like, Disney doesn't seem to, like, think about, like, the characters and, like, the natural, like, direction that they should go in, right? Instead of, like, coming up with new characters, all they can do is just come up with concepts like, oh, yeah, what if we had Yoda, but we made him really young? What if we called him Baby Yoda? And then they just shoved him into, like, you know, everything imaginable. They hyped this thing up as, like, the most exciting thing ever. And it, like, it's a marketing decision and not something that actually suits the story. Because what you get is something that, like, butchers the mystique of the character. It's something that, like, doesn't feel like a natural evolution of, like, telling the story and, like, expanding the setting and, like, the verse and stuff like that. Like, again, Star Wars is stuck in this rut where, like, it can't really escape the original trilogy, essentially. Like, all they can do is just kind of tell this rehashed plot of this, like, you know, rebels going up against the evil Americans. Oh, I'm sorry, the evil Empire, right? Like, they have to, like, do this, like, again, there's no real nuance to it. Like, there's no real, like, feeling of, like, creativity. There's no, like, you know, there's no willingness to go outside the box, essentially. And that's kind of what's happening, is that, like, Disney is pumping out these movies time and time again, featuring characters we've seen before, that we know already, and, like, not really introducing anything that sticks, essentially. You know, The Mandalorian has been around forever, and, like, I still can't tell you anything about it, or, like, anything, like, about what the series is about, and, like, you know, now they're making films about it, and, like, nobody cares. You know, this was something that was, like, very well received initially, but, like, Disney has made so many blunders with Star Wars that, like, you know, even if the product is good, you're seeing people, like, not want to turn out for it because they've put out so much slop, it has completely bogged down the product and completely ruined its public image. Like, going to see a Star Wars movie is not an event anymore. Like, you don't go there, like, knowing you're going to get, like, this amazing experience with, like, these cutting-edge special effects, with these engaging characters, with these cool fight scenes, like, this nothing like you've ever seen before, okay? Like, modern Star Wars does not have that feeling. Like, it is not innovative. It is not pushing the bar. It is not pushing the envelope. It is not trying anything different. It's interesting when I mentioned The Mandalorian. Like, what did people like describe it as? Like, oh, it's like a Western. So instead of being its own unique thing, unlike anything else that exists, they just made it a generic Western in space, basically. And the weird thing about that is, like, Star Wars already had Western elements, like that whole bit where they go into, like, the Mos Eisley Cantina, straight out of a Western, in a way. You see, like, how Star Wars took all these elements from all these different genres and kind of blended them together into its own unique thing. Disney just doesn't seem to be able to know how to do that. Like, they don't seem to, like, take these familiar concepts and give them, like, their own unique spin to it. The Star Wars, the bar scene, it took influence from Westerns, but, like, what you also see is, like, a ton of crazy aliens that just exist there. And, like, you don't know anything about them. They're not relevant to the plot. But they went to the effort of, like, designing designs for each and every one of these things and having them behave in certain ways and, like, just give this, like, weird, like, alien feeling that, like, this is, like, some otherworldly experience, and yet is still, like, very much rooted in, like, traditional, like, American storytelling. It's very interesting in that way, in that regard, like what they were able to do with it. But, like, Disney's not capable of that. At best, all they can do is rehash things that happen in, like, old Star Wars productions. It's like ridiculous how much of, like, Episode 7, all of it, is just a rehash of Episode 4, A New Hope. Like, it is so frustrating, like, seeing, like, this brand just, like, refuse to evolve and, like, expecting people to go see this instead of the far superior Super Mario Galaxy movie. Like, Star Wars needs to rethink what it is and how best to sell itself to a new audience, right? Because, like, the traditional audience is old now. People don't care about the old characters. People don't want to see them, like, beaten into the ground and abused. Like, they need to, like, make compelling new characters. And, like, they're simply not capable of doing that. They need to create, like, new original plots. And, like, they simply haven't been able to do that. Like, all they can do is just create ideas introduced from the original movies. Like stealing the original Death Star plans, stuff like that. The simple fact of the matter is they really, truly, genuinely need to think about what's going on in the future. They really need to think about how they're going to, like, evolve this situation and, like, how they're going to, like, fix this. And, like, I really don't think they are. Like, I think Star Wars is on the path to irrelevancy purely because Disney doesn't know how to manage this brand.